What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some updates and news for Solasta 2. Upcoming sequel, of course, to Solasta, Crown of the Magister, which looks to be a gigantic improvement just jumping out of the gate. And while I have talked about it a little bit previously, the last time was all the way back in February of 2025, and as of a few days ago, we've gotten some important updates that I wanted to share and talk a bit about after mentioning it in my recent video about upcoming CRPGs and how there would likely be some news for this one. Here we are. The main thing being, straight away, of course, that they announced the early access will be coming sometime in early 2026, which would probably imply Q1, and that was more or less expected. They had kind of been teasing this up to the reveal at the Galaxy Showcase on, I believe it was October 23rd. If you're unaware, the Galaxy Showcase is where a lot of smaller indie titles like to do things like give updates, drop trailers and things, and I, at least, have been enjoying it the past couple years. That said, while that release window was not exactly unwelcome or anything, a little boring on its own, so we do have some extra details to share, namely in the form of the continent and the city that they showed off during the trailer. The continent being Neokos, though this is taking place in the same world of the original game, Solasta, Crown of the Magister. We're just going to be on a different continent in a different area of the world, basically this time around, seemingly as they continue to flesh out the setting. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, they put the name of the city in the trailer, but I cannot understand what they're saying. What I am a little curious about with this, though, is that will this be like a properly explorable city, or is it going to be more like a little hub area that we saw in the main campaign of the first title? Now, in some of the later campaign DLCs for the first title, they did get a little more expansive with this type of thing, and I'm hoping they take that one step farther here, and that this city actually feels like a proper little city, at least to some extent, of course. Now, the rest of the trailer was a little on the short side, mostly just showing off the improved animations and everything from their engine swap, some new enemies we hadn't seen previously, locations, basically the things you would expect of a trailer, I would imagine. Not long after the sort of drop of that trailer, however, they announced that they are going to be doing a community stream tomorrow from the time of this video on October 28th, and they're going to answer some questions there, which is always nice, of course, but my understanding is what they're also going to do on that stream is actually show people firsthand some of the new stuff revolving around their map system this time. The original Solasta Crown of the Magister had a honestly kind of boring world map where you'd just run along a few set trails, maybe do like a random encounter or two before heading off to the new location, whereas this time around for the sequel, they're going to be using a hex grid for map exploration, and you'll be able to explore all of those, finding hidden stuff as you go, potentially other locations. And basically they're just aiming for exploration across the board to be more of a rewarding and engaging experience there, as opposed to, again, the very bare bones version of the original. Now, speaking of that hex map, however, I distinctly remember having a conversation talking about like an advancing threat that is supposed to be part of this map, but take that with a grain of salt because for the life of me, I can't seem to find where I got that from or where I had mentioned it previously, but I'm pretty sure the big bad antagonist person here is leading an actual threat to the continent that you're traveling around trying to stop, and that over time that will overtake portions of this hex map was, again, a conversation I remember having, but I, for the life of me, cannot find the source of it. Now, that's kind of the main stuff in terms of new and upcoming things to know, I suppose, but some other things I just wanted to talk about because I haven't had the chance to do so previously personally, despite them not really being new, is a little bit about the rule set changes that are coming with this one. If you're unaware, Solasta 2 is going to be using the 2024 version of the SRD rule set, and basically what that means is that it incorporates changes from the 2024 rules update for D&D 5e, which made some critical changes. Now, what's curious is that is going to be a bit of a new thing for me personally, because I have not actually played with those rules. I spend most of my time playing and reviewing video games, and I haven't been able to just straight up play new TTRPGs anytime recently by any means. And so, somewhat comically, this game will likely be my first exposure to actually using those rules. Now, I am somewhat familiar with what they actually are, mind you. I am a nerd on the internet after all. For instance, I know it makes changes to things like weapon masteries, allowing you to do different things with them based on, I think, your class, and then classes got some overhauls. Like I know they decoupled heavy armor from the domain for clerics, and now it's like an option you can spec into. I know fighters got a thing called, I think it's like tactical mind or something, that allows them to use second wind as a method of passing ability checks by getting a bonus to it. But I think it will be interesting for me personally, at the very least, to actually jump in and check out how those changes play out in the game itself, and also just how I like them, because I know for a fact the sort of internet opinion on that thing is, as ever, fractured. Some people seem pretty into it, other people don't seem to enjoy it so much, and I suppose I will be familiar with it enough after playing this to hopefully have my own opinion on the matter. And so, even outside of all the other things Solasta 2's trying to do, I'll be able to enjoy that at the very least, I guess. And then finally, I wanted to end this video talking about a few things I would still like an answer to that I do not currently have, mind you, though to be fair, they are doing that QA stream tomorrow. We may well find out very soon. But one of the main things is what is all going to be adding, or what has been finalized, like class-wise and stuff. For instance, last that I checked in on this, they were still debating like exactly what to do in terms of classes and stuff that were available at launch because of their engine switch. Like they're still working through a lot of the work for that. And then of course there's honestly what seems to be, at least from the outside looking in, their kind of odd relationship with Wizards of the Coast and the licensing here, because while it uses the D&D 5e SRD rule set, we also know that they got some special permission from Wizards of the Coast to do some stuff that's not actually in that for the previous game, and we don't know what that looks like for this entry. At least for the most part, because I know they have stated previously, as an example, that they're not putting like ASMR in here because it is not included in that rule set, without of course getting like special permission. And obviously, at the very least, I imagine Early Access will answer some of this. At the latest, it would be nice to get like an updated, like here's exactly what's going to be in here based on all of those factors. Because I don't think, at least currently, that they've listed that out anywhere. Maybe they don't know the answer for themselves just yet. Or if they have posted it somewhere, maybe I just overlooked it, I suppose. But either way, questions that I have. Another one is I would love to see them add some stuff that is wholly unique in their own. Like, for instance, we know they made some homebrew subclasses and stuff for classes in the original game, but as part of the demo that I previewed way back in February, there was a character that was like an Oread type of character, and I thought it would be really cool if they added those guys in as like a playable race. And I know they said at the time that was something they were looking into doing, but obviously, again, I don't know if there was ever hard confirmation of that being in the game. Either way, though, shouldn't realistically be all that much longer before we get our hands on an expanded version of this, but just as a little reminder, the demo for the game is currently available. You can play that for yourself right now. It's just like a little standalone adventure that may take like an hour or two to run through, but gives you a pretty good idea of what they have planned. Though probably worth a mention that that demo does not include the 2024 update changes, nor is it planned to, as really it's just kind of centered around giving you the idea of the core features that they want to add for Solasta 2, and in that sense it serves its purpose, and they just don't plan on spending time implementing all of that into the demo itself, which didn't include them because at the time the rules for it, publicly available via an SRD did not exist. Just in case you were wondering why the demo doesn't use them. Either way, though, I think that's just about everything I've got for you guys today. Wanted to share some news for one of the games in 2026 that I am especially excited to jump in and play. And with any luck, you are as well. But for today, again, pretty much going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.